Tony has an outstanding experience in policy development and implementation in the food and agribusiness sector, and has worked extensively with executive level leaders in analysing, developing and influencing key policies and programs relating to industry competitiveness, innovation and sustainability. His focus at National Farmers Federation has included managing economic policy, trade market access, advocacy and competition policy. Tony's 20-year history in the public and private agribusiness sector has contributed to his exceptional capacity to lead and work with a range of stakeholders, including all levels of industry, government and community organisations on a range of complex issues. Tony holds a Bachelor of Agricultural Commerce from the University of Sydney and a Master of Business Industry Strategy from the Australian National University, and is a graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Please make welcome Tony Mahar.
Thank you, Derek. I'm sorry to put you through that, and sorry to put everyone else through that. That bio sounds like I wrote it myself, doesn't it? Look, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thanks to Derek and Matt and the New South Wales Farmers team. It really is great to be here and to hear some of the policy discussions that go on here. We know that they flow through to the NFF, but it's really great to see the discussion and the debate and the issues that the state farming organisations talk about. Now today, what I wanted to do is just to give you a brief overview of the NFF landscape, give you a bit of an idea of what's been happening, but importantly looking forward as to what the future holds for the national organisation. So in terms of the last 18 or 24 months, it's fair to say that the national body, National Farmers Federation, has been undergoing a series of immense changes and challenges as the board has essentially looking for opportunities that will underpin the future operations of the national organisation. And they are really around two key issues or two key truths. One is that we need to look for a more sustainable business model. We can't continue to rely solely on membership subscriptions, and I think this is not only particular to the agriculture sector, but across industry association land. The opportunity and the need really is to look for services and offerings and value propositions for members. So that's certainly been at the forefront of the board's mind. And the other is to focus on our core business. At the end of the day, we're a national peak body representing the agriculture sector. And we've got to make sure that we deliver on that core responsibility and that core function to represent farmers and agribusinesses at the national level to make sure that we get policies and programs that deliver profitability and productivity. So they're the core focuses that are included in our 2016-2019 strategic plan that the board ticked off on early in the year. Before I move into some of those new initiatives that the board's been looking at, I thought it was worthwhile just to give you a quick overview of some of the policy agenda that we've been dealing with. So the agenda for 2016-17 really does look at those policies and programs that will drive the future of the agricultural industry as we know it, promoting success and supporting the industry. So for example, we have run major campaigns on the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement, which is now ratified, but was looking a little bit shaky there for a while when unions and ALP were questioning the value of it. We led with New South Wales farmers, I've got to say, the calls for changes to competition policy and the introduction of an effects test, and that's hopefully going to come to fruition with the new government. Drawn a line in the sand on the backpacker tax, which I know was discussed earlier here today, and that'll be a damaging tax for the industry if that is not abolished, and led, again with state farming groups and others, the debate on regional telecommunications, which is an ongoing issue. And all of this was wrapped up in a federal election campaign, which I hope some of you are aware of, at least familiar with, and possibly participated in, where we badged at Accelerate Ag, and there's a couple of us in Canberra on the launch date for that. So the 16-17 priority policy priorities can be really broken down into about those 5 key areas, and I'll quickly run through them. Obviously, global markets and trade export focus will continue to be a priority. It's fair to say that we've had a pretty good 12 to 36 months in terms of trade agreements. We've, as most of you will know, signed trade agreements with China, Japan and South Korea, and I don't expect that the next 2 to 3 years will be as successful as the last couple, which means we actually need to focus on non-tariff barriers. And again, some of you will be familiar with some of those protocols and standards issue that actually leaves product on the dock. So what we need is a comprehensive government-to-government strategy in these countries, but it's got to be underpinned by industry participation. We're working with government on that. We'll continue to support, of course, the bilateral trade deals with India and Indonesia. Not sure what will happen exactly with the proposed trade deal with the EU, with following on from Brexit, but there might be some opportunities there. And foreign investment will continue to be part of the policy landscape, and we'll look to have some evidence-based policy there. From a workforce perspective, obviously the backpacker tax is the priority, but general IR reform, I think, is the issue. From a farm business perspective, a flag before telecommunications, digital connectivity, mobile black spots will continue to be at the forefront of the agenda. I think it's worthwhile focusing on the R&D structure. I think both sides of Parliament have flagged their interest in that issue, and I think it's up to us as industry to make sure that we are getting the absolute optimum returns from that system. And leading up to the election, Deputy Prime Minister flagged a regional infrastructure or investment corporation, so a streamlined facility to administer drought and water loans. So we need to make sure that we understand exactly what that means. From an environment perspective, engagement in the carbon market, I think, is going to be a priority over the next 3 years. What that looks like for agriculture and farmers, I think, will be critical. Infrastructure, moving on to infrastructure, obviously a continued commitment to inland rail. In the last budget, the Feds committed some funding to the purchases of land, but we actually need to get this thing built. There's been hundreds of millions of dollars allocated towards feasibility studies and things like that. We need to actually make it happen, in my mind. So in terms of, while we've been pursuing the policy agenda, some of the other initiatives that we've been looking at that really will underpin a solid, strong advocacy model and sustainable business model, and I'll quickly go through a couple of those. So we have signed, NFF has signed a joint venture agreement with Findex to establish Sprout X, and that is an ag-tech accelerator or startup, and the first round of funding will be available to applicants later in the year. Basically, this is a business incubator for those that have got the best and brightest ideas in agriculture. It'll provide an opportunity for them to come into an environment that provides the support and funding to bring those ideas and possibilities to life. So it's a fast track for ag entrepreneurs, linking great ideas with the capital and support they need to prosper. From a digital ag perspective, we've been working with Accenture and CSIRO to pilot a digital ag solutions tool. And again, this is about harnessing the data that will allow farmers to make informed decisions that will deliver profitability and productivity back to their farm. We know that big data is an ongoing issue, and what we're thinking about is some of these offerings that are being developed. It's a pretty busy space. From an NFF perspective, I think there's a role for us to actually, as a trusted broker, play some sort of role in administering, securing and setting standards and guidelines around how we use some of that big data, and some of you may be familiar with the Farm Institute report on that very issue. So we're pursuing that. We've also been working with New South Wales farmers and others on the Australian farmers model, and I know Matt talked about that this morning. That's an ongoing challenge. We have made really good ground in that area. There's a long way to go, I've got to say, but it will require ongoing commitment from state farming groups and commodity groups. I think Matt was right this morning when he said it's the right thing to do. Everyone I've spoken to says it's the right thing to do and get on with it. It is going to be, it has been interesting, it has been challenging, but we need to do it, I think, in my mind, to make sure that we can get back to that core issue of a strong advocacy and policy model advocating on behalf of the ag sector. Which leads me to the online platform, which I'm excited to launch today. It's the Australian Farmers Online Platform. And with the rollout of the NBN, Australian farmers will hopefully have better internet access than ever before. No sniggers in the audience, sorry. it'll happen. So the online platform will bring together farmers, the broader industry, and importantly the community in an engaging online home. We'll deliver most up-to-date food and agribusiness news, weather, market information, blogs, commentary, and going forward, as I say, some of these digital tools that will allow farmers on a day-to-day level to harness data and use it in their day-to-day operations. It'll also involve, and I'll touch on this in a moment, campaigns and polling that'll allow us as an industry to start balancing up the debate. This is a collaborative and coordinated platform with state farming organisations and commodity groups that is powered at the national level by the national organisation. So in designing the platform, we sought to radically depart from the branding and visual cues found across websites that are existing in the marketplace. We've gone for something strikingly fresh and different. And again, it's something beyond National Farmers Federation and the existing state farming groups. The site is structured in a newsfeed layout with all content freely available, but two-way interactions will be locked down to those that register. Becoming a register is free and easy, and I encourage you to go to farmers.org.au to actually register. The content is delivered to registered users according to the interest when they sign up. So when you actually sign up, you nominate what sort of interest you've got on your business or from your community, and the information will be targeted directly to you. We've branded the site as Australian Farmers, as I say, to establish that new direction, that new presence in a streamlined and effective representation. And we want the tool to be seen as a collaborative and cooperative and complementary tool to existing websites. Rather than competing with web presence of our members, this will be harmonised so it can link and adapt and incorporate existing websites. And as I say, build a broader, deeper relationship across the community with the public. So what will it do? Well, initially it's focused on 4 key functionalities. The first one is a news feed that provides two-way insight into current events, using new and existing channels, and again, from a member point of view, streamlining that member communications. From a community perspective, an improved connection capability, delivering powerful tools to educate and engage with the community via blogs and forums. From a farm management perspective, I referred to before those farm management tools, including weather and market information, but going forward, a whole range of digital tools and applications that will deliver profitability and productivity back to the farm. Finally, and most importantly, I think it'll allow the industry to have a coordinated and consistent conversation with the public. I know there's been a couple of discussions this morning or this afternoon about some of these policy issues. This tool will allow us at a national and commodity level to have that consistent conversation with the industry, and I think there's a whole lot of advantages and benefits that we can do, and I don't think that we've done it well enough in a fragmented way. This online platform provides us with an opportunity to do that a little bit better. I'll quickly just run through a couple of screenshots. I didn't want to bore you with the process of going through and signing up, but I do encourage you all to go to farmers.org. Just a couple of screenshots that demonstrates the platform. So we're inviting, from a community perspective, participants to share their stories with blogs and forums. So you can do everything on this platform, from offloading a Kelpie, discuss the best way to replace an engine in a D9, pick up a load of hay, or to debate the native title or native vegetation changes. From a weather perspective, we've gone for a simple presentation of what is, we know, complex data. We've used Iteris from the United States, who pull in multiple sources of data, including Bureau of Meteorology, who use modelling to provide hourly localised forecasts on a 1 square kilometre grid. Now, we had a bit of a look at the marketplace, and Iteris was best placed to deliver this product. What would normally be a fee-for-service based arrangement is free to those users that sign up to Australian Farmers. And importantly, it'll allow businesses, farm businesses, to nominate a series of locations where you get specific weather, not to the nearest town, but to the nearest paddock or the nearest homestead. So you can be from Cobar to the coast or Byron Bay to Bega. You can nominate a number of locations and you get specific weather, which again I think was going to be valuable. From a campaign perspective, we know that the ag industry has been slow to respond to the online campaigns from interest groups. We've relied on a fragmented approach to publicly available tools and platforms. Now, the only problem with that is that we don't build and maintain a consistent conversation with the audience outside the farm gate. So it's incumbent on us as advocates to maintain and build that relationship with the supporter base so that we can call on them when we need to. And the recent example might have been the dairy case, animal welfare, native vegetation, greyhounds, for example, I know has been touched on today. We need to have a facility and a platform to have a coordinated position from the agriculture sector to start balancing up these debates. So who is it for? What we've tried to do is to build the platform around a few key personas. The first of all is Dave. He's a constituency farmer around Australia. We want to provide Dave with a one-stop shop of information, again, tools and inputs and advice and opportunity to also hear from him about what those issues are that he's dealing with. The second is the broader ag industry, and that might be Vanessa, who works across the supply chain. She might work in grain trading or farm services or advisory. And these are our natural allies who we actually haven't engaged well enough. And the third is the conscious consumer. So people that put things in their shopping trolley but want to know more about where they came from, how they were produced. We want to talk to them in a way that they can relate to on issues that matter to them, and the platform will allow us to do that. So, thanks to our partners, we've been able to invest in a platform that's future-proof and ready to be built on. It's starting out with sort of core functionalities, but it's got the capacity to be anything we want it to be. Using the Adobe suite, we can build in additional websites. We'll connect at the back end. We'll provide a streamlined approach. We'll provide a comprehensive tool down the track. So this is not just another website. This is a platform that'll take the agriculture industry into the new age. It'll allow us to talk with one single voice on a whole range of issues that we know are out there and we know that we're dealing with. It'll build in a whole range of additional capacity, including hosting of websites, and as technology continues to improve, it'll work with us to keep pace, remain relevant, applicable and functional. And it's a step towards a much more engagement strategy, innovative engagement strategy with our own networks, but importantly, as I keep saying, with the broader community. And to be honest, it's a space that has been pilfered by NGOs, retailers and activist groups. And I think it's about time that we got back in the game. And I think this platform will allow us to do that. But it's no good having a vehicle if you leave it in the shed. We've actually got to get on, support it and back it. And that's what I'm asking you to do here today. So where to from here? Well, as I've said, I think the sky's the limit for this. We'll need to continue to build on it. We need to work on it and provide content so it remains relevant and it remains functional and it remains a value proposition to the industry. We think we can include things like job listings, commerce functions, and as I've said, strengthening the links between the existing websites and bringing them together so that we've got a whole of industry approach to this. We couldn't have done this without our partners, and they've backed our vision for a more connected future with little guarantee that we'd be able to deliver a product of this quality. So I must thank Accenture, Coles, Commonwealth Bank, Crowhawk, Vodafone and Prime Super for their commitment to the industry. So what now? Well, I'd like to implore everyone in this room to go to farmers.org.au and sign up. When you get home, make it your webpage, your homepage. As an industry, I think there's a real and current opportunity to get more visibility, more coordination and a stronger, more unified profile online. We're missing in this space, and I think it's about time that we stepped up and as I've said, balance the debate. Now, I understand the irony of that when most farmers run out of data day 5 into their monthly billing period, but nonetheless, we've got to present a united front and the platform gives us the tools to do that. So finally, what does this mean for us sitting under the Harbour Bridge on a Tuesday afternoon? Well, you're here because you're the leaders in the industry in New South Wales, and I hope that you take a lead role in backing this initiative, backing our campaigns, participating in the forums and promoting the site on social media. This will be a platform for the entire industry. It's not for the NFF, it's for state farming groups, it's for commodity groups, it's for the industry. Let's turn around any perception that our industry is complacent, that we can't get united. Let's take a positive, proactive step to use this platform. It's not a panacea for everything, but it'll help us take steps to get our place onto the national conversation about what challenges and opportunities are there for Australian agriculture. So again, I'd ask you to go to farmers.org.au, register, become part of the conversation. Happy to wrap it up there. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having everyone.